All right, let's jump right into this explainer and deconstruct the 2003 spy thriller, The Recruit. Now, this is a film that promises high-stakes espionage, intense psychological mind games, and an exclusive inside look at the CIA. But you have to wonder, how much of what we actually see holds up to any real scrutiny? Well, today we're breaking it all down. From the critical reception and some pretty clever behind-the-scenes geographical deception to the glaring narrative flaws and what real intelligence professionals actually think about the movie.
We're starting right in the deep end today. Al Pacino delivers this incredibly intense recruitment speech that perfectly sets up our recurring theme for this entire explainer, the deeply blurred lines between reality and Hollywood illusion. His character, Walter Burke, lays out this tantalizing, cynical view of the CIA right from the jump. He establishes a mantra that really echoes throughout the entire story. Nothing is what it seems.
Part 1. The Art of Recruitment. Enter Walter Burke.
So, over a seemingly innocent martini, we get to see exactly what the CIA is supposedly looking for in a candidate. Colin Farrell plays James Clayton, and man, this guy checks literally every single box for a cinematic spy. We're talking about a brilliant, athletic MIT grad who majored in nonlinear cryptography. On top of that, he has a globally nomadic past growing up in places like Pakistan and Venezuela. And absolutely crucial for his character's motivation, he has this tragic backstory involving his father's mysterious death in a 1990 plane crash in Peru. This incredibly specific profile makes him Burke's ultimate target.
Part 2. A cookie-cutter spy thriller. IGN's critical verdict. So with an A-list cast and a great premise, did this film actually live up to its potential? According to IGN, that's a resounding no. They hit the film with a pretty harsh 5 out of 10 score, specifically citing that it ultimately failed to realize its great setup and just ended up feeling mediocre.
Now, to be fair, the DVD release did pack some great extras. IGN praised the strong bass on the audio track, the director's intended anamorphic widescreen presentation, and a really cool 15-minute spy school featurette that actually included real CIA training footage. But the cons? They weighted down heavily. The plot basically devolved into a cookie-cutter script. It was packed with twists, sure, but lacked any real surprises, and it was all presented in this steely gray, drab visual hue. Ironically, it became the exact kind of double-crossing cliché it was trying to elevate.
And get this, the critics weren't the only ones rolling their eyes at the script. Even Colin Farrell himself was totally candid on the DVD audio commentary. He basically admitted that the script wasn't anything special at all, and noted that his primary motivation for taking the part was, well, simply the chance to work alongside Al Pacino.
Moving on to Part 3. Nothing is where it seems. The geographic sleight of hand. Remember Burke's famous mantra, "Nothing is what it seems"? Well, the production team took that quite literally. The movie claims to be set in the academic hub of Boston and the political epicenter of Washington, D.C., but in reality, almost the entire production was shot north of the border in Toronto, Canada. In fact, only a tiny sliver of scene setting was actually filmed in the U.S. Capitol. Everything else was pure Canadian movie magic. Clayton's supposedly Cambridge, Massachusetts student lodging, that was actually the Alpha Delta Phi fraternity at the University of Toronto. That spot where Burke recruits Clayton over a beer, just the Lava Lounge in Toronto's Queen's Park. Even the dramatic, pulse-pounding shootout climax that supposedly goes down in the DC Navy Yards was actually filmed at the Gooderham Worts Distillery in Toronto.
Part 4. Hollywood fiction versus CIA fact. Let's declassify The Recruit.
Okay, putting all that Hollywood flair aside for a second, a huge question was debated over on the r/intelligence subreddit. Everyone wanted to know, does any of this fictionalized training actually reflect reality? Is it all just cinematic nonsense, or is there a kernel of truth in Clayton's journey? Surprisingly enough, yeah, it turns out there is some real authenticity buried in the drama. Users on the forum noted that the initial training scenarios were highly evocative of the real thing. One user actually mentioned that the visual of the secret training facility, which, by the way, was originally just going to be the title of the film, The Farm, gave them literal chills because it perfectly mirrored their own experience arriving there over 3 decades ago.
It gets better. Former operatives chimed in and corroborated that those chaotic, highly theatrical party simulation scenes, spot on. Instructors really do get into these absurd roles to test the situational awareness and interpersonal skills of the new recruits. So the classroom and simulation aspects of the film actually earned some legitimately high marks for realism.
But, we do need a reality check here. The community was quick to point out exactly where the film veers straight into pure fantasy.
Real-world recruitment is a much slower, way quieter process, absolutely not the flashy bar confrontations with Al Pacino that we get on screen. And more importantly, they pointed out that the brutal physical beatdowns shown during the movie's training sequences are purely Hollywood dramatization. Real CIA recruits are definitely not subjected to physical beatings during their time at the farm.
Which brings us to part 5, the ultimate plot hole. Let's look at Burke's baffling master plan.
To fully grasp this massive structural flaw that eagle-eyed viewers caught, you first have to understand the movie's MacGuffin, ICE-9. The entire climax of the film relies on this cutting-edge computer virus developed by the CIA. Our disgruntled recruiter, Walter Burke, plans to steal it and sell it off for a cool $3 million payday.
Here's the absolute kicker raised by these viewers. Burke's grand plan is just entirely nonsensical when you break it down. Let's walk through his logic. Step 1. He secretly orders a recruit named Lila to steal the ICE-9 virus. Okay, sure. But then step 2, he orders James Clayton to track Lila down and stop her from stealing it. I mean, why in the world would you initiate a multi-million-dollar theft only to explicitly send someone else to thwart your own heist? It's a completely baffling contradiction. The villain actively sabotages his own operation, literally just to give the movie a dramatic third act.
Finally, part 6, where to stream it today. Here's your Disney Plus briefing. If you're feeling curious and want to spot these plot holes or check out those Canadian filming locations for yourself, The Recruit is currently streaming in the Hulu Hub over on Disney Plus. Now, Disney offers a bit of a labyrinth when it comes to bundle options, ranging from the basic duo for $12 a month all the way up to massive bundles that include ESPN or HBO Max, so you've definitely got options to access the film.
So, armed with everything we've uncovered today, the mixed critical reception, the real-world Canadian locations masquerading as DC, and the glaringly contradictory plot holes in Burke's master plan, will you be taking the CIA's recruitment offer and streaming it tonight? Or is this one piece of Hollywood fiction that's better left classified? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and just remember, out there, nothing is what it seems.